When I first saw these pine berries at Trader Joe's, my first thought was, oh my gosh, Bunnicula got a hold of those strawberries. Now you might be wondering two things. What are pine berries and who is Bunnicula? We are making Bunnicula pickles. Now, of course, Bunnicula is a vampire rabbit who sucks the juice out of fruits and veggies. I mean, didn't you know that? The inspiration for these Bunnicula pickles come from these. These are pine berries. Now, we'll get way more into pine berries later. I'll taste test them. I'll tell you what exactly kind of berry this is. We'll also talk a lot more about Bunnicula. But first, let's make some delicious Bunnicula quick pickles. You, of course, are going to need some jars for this project, and because we're not actually canning these and submerging them in hot water, you can use any jar and any lid that you want. You will need some pine berries, and I thought after finding these pine berries, it would be really fun to find some other produce that looked like the juice had been sucked right out by Bunnicula. So I came up with white asparagus. I typically have green asparagus in my fridge, but it was fun to find the white at the grocery store. White carrots. These are pretty easy to find these days. I found mine at Trader Joe's. And white green beans. Now these are really yellow green beans, but they will work for this project. Our pine berry flavors are going to be really simple. I've got a couple little cubes or whatever, little chunks of ginger that we're going to put in there. And then we put in our pine berries. And I chose mostly ones that I could find in my little batch that are white, but I do want to keep a few in there that are kind of pink because, you know, these are Bunnicula and maybe he got a hold of a couple and didn't get all the juice sucked out of some of them. So anyways, a couple of cute ones need to go in there. I forgot to mention that I did add a few cloves to my pine berries, and I also rearranged them so that you could actually tell that they were, well, not strawberries, but pine berries. So they look like a berry. So now the next one is my white asparagus. Isn't this gorgeous? So you want to obviously cut one to fit to the jar and then use that as your template. Don't feel like you have to waste the other ends of it because you can still use those. They're delicious to put in a little bit of a stir fry or steam them up. So shake them around. White asparagus tends to not, see, I'm going to have to trim a few of these down, I can already tell. White asparagus tends to not be very pretty at the top, like you can see there, so that's kind of a bummer. So you might have to find a few, you might have to weed through a few of them. I also want to include some green asparagus into this jar because, you know, I want people to be able to see what it is. Plus, I want to give the full Bunnicula effect that he is sucking the juice out of these veggies. So let me turn it around there so you can see more of the white. So with this one, I'm just putting in a little bit, whoa, mustard seed. I'd say about 1/4 teaspoon there. And then, shoot, where are my, hold on, I'm finding it. Bay leaf. I'm going to put in one or 2 bay leaves. And that's it. Delicious. These are some of my favorite. These are garlic dilly beans. So just 2 cloves of garlic down in there, a little sprig of fresh dill. Yum. A lot of dill because I love it. And instead of the green, which we are going to put a few of the green haricot vert in there, I found yellow, but I feel like they're pretty white. They look white to me, so they look like they've had all the juice sucked out of them. So just put those down in there. You want to also make sure those fit into your jar. I love these. These are what I consider my nighttime snack. Oh, I got to cut a few more, but you get the idea. So mix them up so you get some of the yellow or white and a few of the green ones in there as well. These last ones are white carrots. They are not parsnips, which pickled parsnips might be pretty good, but these are the white carrots that I pulled out of the rainbow carrot bunch that I usually get from Trader Joe's. You can see there are a couple yellow ones in there too. And of course I put a couple of orange ones in there. Now the main spice for this one, I am taking inspiration from these delicious daikon. So that is a habanero pepper. Not going to put too much, just actually putting that one little piece in there. I was going to try and like finagle it into the front so that you could kind of see the habanero, but I don't know if that's going to work there. That'll have to do. But anyways, I get these delicious habanero daikon pickled radishes from the farmer's market every year. And I mean, I just love one. So I'm thinking, because I've never made these before. Boy, that little sucker does not want to go down there. Okay, you're just going down in the middle. There you go. I'm thinking these will turn out very similar to those. So let's talk about these winter frost pine berries. First of all, when I picked them up at Trader Joe's for the first time a couple of weeks, they were all completely white. They were like this color, the entire package. You can see I pulled a few out of another package that I had. They're like this. And they do, I will say, they go bad really fast. You can see this one's already starting to turn. But anyways, there was no blush at all. They were completely white. So of course I was intrigued, brought them home, tasted them, and I gotta say they were pretty much what I expected. They tasted like a weak strawberry. Some of them were not what I would define as sweet. They just kind of, I don't know, they just were bland and they just had a very light strawberry taste there at the end. So what I did is I just kind of, so that I didn't waste them, because this whole thing was like $6, I think, I just chopped them up and put them into a fruit salad. I saw a report about these pine berries, and the reporter who did the piece said they got their name because they're supposed to smell like pineapple, and they even taste a little bit like pears. Well, my first batch, I got none of that. As a matter of fact, I thought they were really bland and not very exciting. But after seeing that report, I was like, well, I need to buy a second batch. So I did, and I have sniffed this thing. There is not even a hint of pineapple or pear, I'm sorry to say. And the taste, still the exact same thing. It's like the faintest of strawberry. Kind of like, I don't know, like an unripened strawberry that doesn't taste tart. Third time is the charm, right? I mentioned that these were a little more blush than the original ones that I picked up. These are still called winter frost pine berries, but it just so happens that my sister texted me a picture of some ones that she bought, and where she lives in her part of the country, they are actually called pinkaboos. And I definitely can see these are teetering on more pinkaboo than winter frost for sure. This is a super simple brine. It's basically 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, but today it's 2 to 2 to 2 to 2 because of the amount of brine that I am making. So I've got 2 cups of water in the pot, and now I've got 2 cups of white vinegar in there, and then 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of salt. There we go. This is not a sweet brine. If you tend to like your pickles sweet, I do not. I mean, I don't usually. I do like a couple of things sweet, kind of like my pickled red onions. I love those to be as sweet like candy. But this normal brine that I use, I don't like it to be sweet. The sugar is in there just to kind of cut the vinegar, the tang of the vinegar a little bit. So just going to stir this a little bit to get some things dissolved, pop it onto the stove, bring it up to a boil, and then turn it off. After my brine came to a boil, I turned it off and let it sit for about 5 minutes. You should probably let it sit for more like 10 minutes because you can see it's still pretty steamy. Yikes. So we're going to pour it till it comes just above the fruit or the veg. I'll move that out of the way, even though I spilled a little bit, which I always do. There we go. And I did want to mention again, these are quick pickles. So these are going to go, after they cool down, they're going to go into the fridge. These are not really meant for canning, although I guess, you know, if you did it properly, you could can. All right, so I'm going to need to fill up my little jug here a little bit more so I can finish these 2 off. But again, they go into, let this cool down completely, and then they're going to go into the refrigerator. I would say if you're really in a hurry to eat these, then make them in the morning and you can have them for dinner. If you are patient, well, I'm not really patient, but if you really want the best one, I'd wait 24 hours and then they will be absolutely delicious. Bunnicula the Vampire Rabbit was first featured as a book, but it was turned into a Saturday morning cartoon special in 1982, and that's when this 80s kid got his first glimpse into the Bunnicula world. Now, I watched that special last night on YouTube, and you know how some retro cartoons and even retro TV specials, they don't really hold up to today's standards. It's really more about the memory. Well, that's kind of what Bunnicula is. It's sort of like the vibe is a less interesting Scooby-Doo with lots of like quirky adventures and sound effects and some dialogue that doesn't really make sense. But let me say, Bunnicula is super cute, and I love the idea of a vampire rabbit. He's got that kind of Dracula widow's peak thing between his two ears. I love it. And his adventures went way beyond the 80s. There were more books, there was a TV show, children's theater even got a hold of Bunnicula, so good for Bunnicula. Now, I am going to post the link to that cartoon special down below, and please let me know if you are a Bunnicula fan. Most of the time, it is the beautiful natural colors of fruits and vegetables that really make them so attractive and so nutritious. But in this case, it's the actual lack of color that makes these quick pickles pop, especially because they really do look like Bunnicula had a hand in creating them, right? So I want to try all of them. Let's try the pine berries first. All right, let me see if I get a smaller one. Remember, this one was flavored with a little bit of clove and a little bit of ginger. Oh, okay. Wow, that is delicious. I definitely taste the clove, I taste the ginger, but really what is coming through, lots of strawberry, and I get the pear now. I really do. If I closed my eyes, I would say I would have a tough time like, did you just give me a pear and a strawberry together? Okay, that's delicious. And the flavors are really clean. That's a really clean strawberry taste. It's a really clean kind of pear-ish flavor. Gosh, I really love that. That's delicious. Okay, the next ones I'm gonna try are the asparagus. We seasoned those or flavored them with a little bit of bay leaf and mustard seeds, I think. Yeah. That is gonna be delicious. Chopped up on a salad. I love that. Oh gosh, so nice and crispy. I'm not a fan when they chop up asparagus and put them in salads when it's just completely raw, but pickled, that is absolutely delicious. So I know I'm gonna love the dilly beans. This is something I absolutely love and keep in my my refrigerator in spring and summer. Oh. Garlic, heavy dill flavor. What I will be doing with these, I usually have like a small glass of tomato juice at night. I usually pour a little bit of olive juice into it, or maybe a few olives, maybe a peppercini, but I'm gonna be putting those in there. So delicious. Okay, now for a little bit of heat. My pickled carrots that have the habanero pepper in there. So, a little scared. Really good pickle flavor. Not getting the heat. Now I'm getting the heat. That's what habaneros do. They kind of get on your tongue like after you've kind of like eaten the pepper. Definitely feeling the heat. And if it stays at this level, that's just great. I could actually do it a teeny bit more, but if you're someone who's squeamish of really hot pickles, I would say stay with the one ring that I put in there, but I would actually bump that up to 2. Gosh, these are just delicious. And I would eat this one the same way with a little glass of not olive juice, with some tomato juice. That would be amazing. These were so good. I really loved making them. I hope you love making them too. Please let me know in the comments below if you plan to make them. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and go look up Bunnicula if you've never heard of him before. I mean, how many vampire rabbits have you ever heard of from the 70s and 80s? He's awesome. Do you think I really have to explain that? Bunny, Dracula, Bunnicula? People don't get that?